the real estate market. Specifically here, we're going to be looking at what drives prices, what sets prices, what is it that determines lease rates. And of course, the market. The answer is always in our business, the market will determine what a property is worth, not necessarily what the seller wants to get for the property or how much money the builder put into it. So one of the key factors that affects pricing of property, lease rates and so forth is supply and demand. This is one of those things you learn in any Econ 101 type of class. Factors that affect supply. Well, demand affects supply. Construction costs, labor, materials, and fees affect supply. And interest rates affect supply. Now, this might sound so obvious to you, but in the real estate business, gang, real estate is it's like slow traveling ship, or it's almost like a glacier. So what can happen in an economy is the economy starts to pick up, but there's nothing for the people to buy. You'll often hear, especially these days, people saying things like, boy, if I only could find some property, I got buyers lined up, but the supply of property is so low. Why might that be? Well, because in the last few years, demand wasn't there. And so people maybe stopped building, stopped producing new product to buy. So eventually, when builders and investors start to see demand picking up, they're going to try to match that demand. They're going to bring more product to the market, but only if it makes sense. Why wouldn't I build a house if I know there's a demand for it? Because it might cost me more than what the current market will bear. Construction costs, labor, materials, fees, they call that entitlements. What do I have to get a permit, and the sewer fee and the water fee and all these other kinds of things. And that might make it prohibitive for me to build a house that you can buy even though the demand is there. So you kind of have to have this perfect storm of things. Interest rates is a big one. I don't know the math on it, but others do. An interest rate jump of a half a point makes the market that your buyer is looking for smaller. They can no longer afford to buy the $200,000 house because their interest rates went up, which reduces what they can qualify for. The same monthly payment doesn't buy the $200,000 house anymore. Now that same monthly payment that they can afford buys a $175,000. So these three things are kind of like the perfect storm that comes together and that determines what's going to happen for you and I in the buying and selling or renting marketplace. Other factors that affect demand, and we're at a very interesting time right now. Demographics. What is demographics? Demographics is the study of the population and its characteristics. So you've got a lot of aging baby boomers, and where I live in Minneapolis, Minnesota, there's a huge influx. The population of downtown has grown dramatically by 10, 20, 30% in the last 5 years. And developers are putting up condominiums and all kinds of apartments and things because people want to go back and live downtown. Demographic shift. And who's there? Empty nesters, like people like in my age group, and also millennials are saying, I want to be where the action is, or I want to be close to where I work, or something like that. Of course, the economy. People have to have income to afford to buy what a property costs. And you'll hear this a lot. It's, the affordable housing issue, right? There's counties like Orange County in California, people who work in Orange County can't afford to live in Orange County. I used to work as a ski bum in Aspen, Colorado. I worked in Aspen, but I couldn't live in Aspen. We had to rent Down Valley in Carbondale back in the day. That's what we could afford. And of course, wages. Just because the economy increases doesn't necessarily mean that immediately wages will increase. All right, so many things, fascinating economic studies to look at. As wages might increase, inflation might increase. And if inflation increases, the Fed's going to raise interest rates. So it's always these dynamics. What it really boils down to, though, is if you've got a buyer who wants to buy, regardless of where we are in economics and demographics and all those things, you've got a sale potentially.